Yeah, so welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Reedy, today we are, sorry, just checking the mic's working. We're talking about a new player we've just signed on loan, Abdul Fatawu, I think is his name. Bit of a weird one. I don't know if it's 100% right how we're saying it just yet, but he's just come on loan really from Sporting Lisbon. We've just had maybe a minute's debrief before this, and I don't know if you can tell by Reedy's stern face, he's not impressed by the signing, which is what I was saying before. So, Reedy, speak to the fans about why you're not impressed.
Well, first of all, I just don't know why we brought another winger in. We've obviously let two fullbacks go. We've brought in another winger when we've got Mavadidi in and Atgun, who Atgun was meant to be this starting winger, surely. And now we're bringing this 19-year-old who, to be honest, has no backstory, no kind of history in what he's done as a player. And as much as I could probably say that about Enzo's management past.
Which I think you were before.
No, I agree. We didn't know.
All were.
Yes, we didn't know. Yeah. But this is for me, I just don't get why we put a winger in who's could be a nothing, and especially on loan as well.
Well, I think to deconstruct it a little bit, just so you guys know, he is a right winger / central attacking midfield player who has come on loan from Sporting Lisbon, 19-year-old who has made a handful, and by handful I mean just into double-digit figures in the last season for Sporting Lisbon. I agree with you that maybe he's not the kind of player we should be going after. I'm not 100% sure what's the point in bringing in.
If you said positions you need to bring in now, first of all, it is a full-back / player who can play left-sided centre-back or full-back, who can play in the system, a striker, if we do let one go, and probably an actual centre-back. I don't think we needed another winger on top. Don't get me wrong, if he plays well and he gets into the team well, fair play, but then what's Atgun doing? Because he's not going to get in the team. Either one's going to get in.
I think
and then you've got Marcel and McAteer as well.
Like Andrew said, I think he's a backup for injuries. Really, if Atgun does not do well, this guy is a second option to Atgun.
But then you've got another two options on top of that.
The right wing has suddenly gone from being a very scarce position in our team a month ago to now being probably the most overpopulated.
We've got four players in that position.
We have 3 or 4 out-and-out right wingers. Like I said, he is diverse. I've heard he can play on the left wing and the right wing and central attacking midfield. So I know that he has a mix of different things in his bag. As far as why he's on loan, the answer for why he's on loan is because the players we're letting go are also on loan. We can't afford to sign him on a permanent deal.
I do get that.
Without it screwing with FFP, I assume, and money into the club, and Sporting and likewise probably don't want to sell him because they've only just signed him last year. They probably just think he needs a season out in. Because Sporting are probably a bit more of a high standard than Leicester at the moment. He probably wants just some game time as a young person. And
like Alex says, I get the cover part, but you've got McAteer who scored 2 goals not even a week ago. We've got Marcel who scored a goal on that side. Yes, he might not be to the level we might need him at the moment, but he has filled in that role. We've got Atgun now, who we brought in thinking he probably should be the starter because he's probably got more experience than everyone else. But then you bring in this guy in as well, which adds to the confusion where if, like I say, for instance, Atgun has to play 25 games to get to be signed permanently. If he wants to play, this Fatawu guy is not going to get a look in.
The thing with Atgun is more, if we play him for 25 games, we don't have a choice. We have to.
No, I get that, but I'm guessing he's one that has come to try and get that move.
I think this, as far as we've got 4 loanees in this season, which I think we knew was going to happen, that we would see a lot of youth players from the clubs around us ship off to Leicester to help get them some solid game time in a pretty good team. If we're being honest with ourselves, we should be fighting for the top 6 this season, nothing less than that. So I think, like Imran's saying, it's only a loan to not a gamble, but not inspiration. It
is, but then for loans for me, depending on who it is, like you were saying, I think yesterday, you were saying that Doyle and who was the other one you were talking about? Doyle and Who's the one that you said?
Cassidy.
Cassidy. Both of them, I do not think we're going to get either way.
Well, those two are
next
just on
season.
loans without options to
Yes.
buy.
Whereas these guys,
Agun and I believe now,
is this guy?
Fatawu, he is with an option to buy at the end of the season. So again, it's one of those things really where we're with these loan players in that they've come in. I am a bit surprised with you that the first one in out after letting Luke Thomas and Christensen on the
is another
was another attacking / winger player. I think if we, like you said, if we were looking at some more cover, we do think we need a new defender to come and sit on the bench. You know, maybe get some games under his belt. A new striker, I don't think we need a new striker if Ian
we keep all three. Yeah.
If Ian, Decker can go because he's
no, but either way, you're not going to keep yourself to 2 strikers. Realistically, you would have to keep 3.
No, I think with all the attacking threat we have, like Mavididi can play as a striker. Like I said, this is why Abdul Fatawu, I still won't be able to pronounce his name until someone tells me how to say it.
Fatawu.
But I think when bringing players like him, that just does allow for someone like Mavididi to play up front because you know that he can be versatile on the left and the right, and you've got covers in Marcel, McAteer. I think we're just keeping our options very open because we do want. I think the game plan really this season is to have strength in numbers and have strength in attacking.
Yeah,
threats. Like if he was a bench player, a bit like Vardy, when he comes on for the last 30 minutes, when
which he could be impactful. I get that.
Yeah, maybe he's an impact sub.
And Enzo said that he isn't scared to drop players even if they've just scored a goal. Like I say, Marcel got dropped straight after we just scored a goal against Cardiff. So he might be in 1 week and then Agun might be in the next week.
Yeah.
But I'm not too sure, in my opinion. It is why it's a winger because, like I say, we've got Cassidy in that central attacking role. You've got Mavididi now who can play probably in that role. Agun. You've got Marcel and McAteer that both can play in that role. I just feel like we're overcrowding that midfield.
Maybe so, but again, we'll see what Enzo's clearly got a plan. Some comments. Richard saying if/when we get promoted, Doyle will sign permanently. I assume for us.
No,
as Man City will have so. I'd be always saying as Man City have so many centre backs.
Well,
I agree to disagree. I would like to see him sign, and I think there's a chance he could go into a bidding war between Premier League clubs.
I completely disagree. I think once he's done this season, Man City is not letting this sort of player go. He's a young player who's quality. You've seen last year,
I think if they
the year
can
before.
Cash out on him, they might do.
I don't know because if we go, let's say this: if we go up to the Premier League next year, and they offer £40 million for Doyle, we've got no chance in paying £40 million for a promoted tie.
This is a good comment. Sorry to cut in. Just pulling up, Alex saying need another centre back, central mid to replace Ndidi. So this is
this could be Ndidi's.
I think could be Ndidi's replacement because Ndidi. I think you'll find Cassidy is first team for the upcoming season. He will be the player to start in the starting.
Then who loses the place? Is it Dewsbury?
Ndidi because he's gone.
No, but Ndidi plays in that Cassidy role, so it's either Dewsbury and Cassidy, Dewsbury and Ndidi.
Yeah, but Ndidi's going to be signed.
Yeah, so you'd either play Cassidy or this guy. You won't play.
I think this guy's going to be a bench player for us.
Yeah, I think he'll have to.
I think he's going to come on off the bench and he's going to be a rotation between Cassidy, himself, and Dewsbury in those three. Keep it fresh. There's a lot of games.
No, I get that. I probably agree with you. But like Mark says there, either Dak or Nacho goes. We need another striker. Can't rely on Vardy.
Don't tell him to shut up though.
Well, I get the reasoning for Daka, and as much as I still think there's something there for him, we're not going to use him to his style, either Vardy. So you might as well just use one of them, whichever one stays, use them as that sub player, play with Kel, or bring in a new player if one of them go to be that main man up front, because at the moment Kel's the only one that could probably suit it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen Nacho be up front. I think we all would like to keep him for the season ahead, but there's been a lot of rumours of him going to Palace and clubs in and around the Premier League. So we have also heard that he was one of the players that did want to stay in the season, but never say never.
Thing is, there's Lynn's comment there as well. Obviously, this is about Abdul Fatawu's signing, but there's a few other people asking, like, loan players will want to stay. Will get
Some of them might.
Again,
some of them don't have a choice.
Well, if you think about it, where would you rather go back to? If you would rather go back to Chelsea or Man City, or stick with Leicester if you get promoted? I'm pretty sure you'd want to go back to where you were.
Potentially, but I don't think there's no, it's not always an open spot. If Cassidy and Doyle were to go back to Man City and Chelsea, there's no guarantees they walk into the first team, especially the way Chelsea and Man City buy players. just because they have a good season with us, they might not really,
Look at Richard's comments. Man City have just got another player in that's 100 mil for Doyle. But then again, this is a young player that will be in that Man City side eventually.
I think he's one of those players which he hasn't proven himself yet. He is on the younger side. But the way Man City's model works is if they said to us, you can have Doyle for 30 million, and I think we would pay for this. I could see them saying he's coming from the academy. We can cash out 30 million right now for him. They, like Richard said, they signed £100 million players to cover anyway, so there's no guarantee Doyle does come in and be first.
No, but this is where they are the biggest, probably the best club in the world, and they can do what they want with these players. He's his player in the end of the day. So
yeah. Anyway, we'd talk a bit about Fatawu.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not slating him before he even starts, but I just hope he's using the right way, because at the moment, with Atgun there, again, I'm not going to keep repeating myself, but we've got so many people in that role now that can play there. I just didn't think we needed another one in that role. When we could be getting another defender on loan. I prefer someone on loan as a defender, or like say a midfielder, or even a striker. Just not that sort of role we've brought in about 3 or 4 already.
I do think this is anticipating Ndidi's move, because I think he is that player to cover. Thinking about it, that he will be that rotation player between himself, Dewsbury and Cassidy. Maybe if we bring in another, I have heard Ilias Chair from QPR, but I've not seen anything solid on that.
See, if he comes in as well, isn't that a bit too overcrowded?
No,
surely.
Again, because like Enzo, we've heard Enzo say that he wants players to rotate in and around the team. He doesn't have favourites, which is a good thing to hear. He just plays the best players in that position. So, in my eyes, the whole McAteer should be starting on the right wing. Even out of all these players we brought in, McAteer for me was the better player in the last game. And I think that's a good thing, because if someone like Fatawu or Atgun comes in and has a good season or has a good spells, he pushes players to be better than how they think they are, or how they could be better in themselves. So there's a good competition. And again, I think we'll see him more as a central attacking field role, and I think it's a loan move anticipating Ndidi to be sold to Forest in the next day or so.
There's a comment from Matt there. Imagine all these players brought in will become amazing for us. Fans will be eating their own words, basically. These signings are positive for us, and because they're not much positive in the last 12 months. I get that, but again, everyone's been asking for defenders. Everyone's been asking for replacements for players that do leave. It just feels like we're overcrowding areas, which we've already kind of got.
I disagree. I think once you see Ndidi go, that the space that Fatawu is coming in to cover is actually it makes sense to bring in someone like himself to cover. He is a bit more diverse, and I think that's what Enzo likes to see. We've seen it. That's hence why Thomas and Christians have gone on loan, because they're not diverse. They can play left back and that's it. They can't attack and they can't switch roles. So again, someone like Fatawu, we've heard he can play on the left, the right, in attacking midfield. I think that's what Enzo wants. So I think it's a decent signing for us. And again, like I say, it's a loan option. So if it doesn't work out, at least we've got the cover. Maybe it's one of those things where we're bringing him in to try him. And if he doesn't work out, you've got Atgun, you've got McAteer, you've got Marcel in and around that space. Wherever he needs to be played, he doesn't always need to be first choice option.
No, and the last comment of the day, obviously, Alex, at least we shouldn't have 2 keepers on the bench now. Hopefully, that with this signing, surely not. Surely not.
Alex
surely not. You don't have that with all these players coming in. You do not.
I mean, to just pull up a little bit, we'll talk about it briefly. Forget having 2 keepers on the bench. Why is there 5 keepers in the club at the moment? I don't know why Iverson and Ward are still here. To be honest with you, I'm looking at the clock. 30 hours away from now is when the deadline's going to end, roughly 30, 33. Why? I've not heard anything at all about Ward or Iverson going. I've literally not heard a single sniff.
The thing is, as much as people moan about Ward, I'd be happy to let Iverson go. Just because he's a better keeper. Iverson, he deserves to be in a team.
Yeah.
So as much as I would not like Ward as a backup, he will be the backup. Oh no, sorry, no. Wait. No, he will be the backup because there's so many other keepers in the bloody team. I don't know. But yeah, I'd be happy to have Ward as a backup if need be, but I don't think he will he? Because I think all of them will stay.
Jacob, whoever, I can't pronounce his surname, and I'm putting it from Bodgin. His first
He'll
name,
probably be the second.
he is the new bench player, the second option, because like I said, there is 2 keepers on the bench at the moment. I think it does show. I know people are getting a bit wound up by it, but for me, it shows initiative by Enzo. In a weird way, I know it's. But you probably think, why is there 2 keepers on the bench? Is it the smartest move? Technically, it's not. But what it proves to me is that players like Daka, Samari, Suter are not good enough to be in Enzo's team and do not want to be it. So he would rather have
2 keepers on the bench.
have 2 keepers on the bench to prove a point. I think more than. Because we can get 9 we can get 9 bench players and 5 of them could come on. So I don't think we have the depth to have a variety. We're not like Man City. We don't have 9 players that could come on. I think it's more just I'd rather have 2 keepers than Daka to prove a point and say, listen, mate, you're not good enough to be in this team. You're not good enough to be on the bench. I want you out of the club pretty much. And I think that's a fair enough point. I think we have called for a manager to come in and be, Billy Big Bollocks almost and change things around and have his say in things and do it his way rather than we saw it with Rodgers quite a lot where he would play his favourites. Tielemans was in the team week in, week out when he was playing absolutely poor. Whereas I don't think Enzo is that kind of manager. I do think, hence a lot of the signings, why we bring in all these players. Because if someone has a bad game, it's like, right, well, you're going to get dropped for the next one then because, no position is guaranteed. And I think we've seen that already where, a lot of players have been swapped around. We've seen McAteer, Marcel, Atgun all feature now as the right winger. And to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you who does deserve to be that right winger spot. For me right now, it would be McAteer just because he was the best player for us against Rotherham.
Yeah, I agree. But like I say, Fatawu, hopefully you do well, mate. He's here for a year. Like I say, I think if you're right, then he is able to buy at the end of the year if he does well, I guess. So hopefully he does well. And see how he does. Like I say, he might be a bench player, could be a starting player. But get your views and get your comments in. And hopefully we'll have a few more in before tomorrow night.
Yeah, cheers all.